Dr. Tranell is the CEO of You First Media Group, a full-service P&R agency that focuses on gospel, hip-hop, offering PR, digital marketing, and promotions. She also holds the position of general manager for nationally recognized and stellar award-winning artist Canton Jones's label, Casual Records. Dr. Tranell has also released several books, making her a 3-time international best-selling author targeting kingdom-minded professionals working in the music industry. It is her belief that we cannot execute if we don't make changes internally. Dr. Tranell Jones is a business marketing strategist and consultant with over 13 years experience producing advertising for brands and helping leaders showcase their talents in the business world. She has produced custom campaigns for independent music artists, authors, speakers, startup companies, and seasoned entrepreneurs. With her unique and radical approach to business marketing, she helps her clients in any industry disrupt the norm and experience exponential growth. She has spoken with entrepreneurs and artists in multiple countries, UK, Africa, and Barbados, on strategic and tactical marketing development with a radical spin that includes the incorporation of ministry's first principles. She is a serial entrepreneur with a solid reputation as a visionary, problem solver, and creative tactician in the fields of branding, advertisement, marketing, and personal development. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the Pathways to Success stage, Dr. Tranell Jones.
Dr. Tranell, what an impressive resume. My word. Welcome to Pathway to Success. Can I call you Dr. T?
Yes, absolutely. I prefer it.
Before that, Dr. Tranell or Dr. T, please tell our viewers. A lot of people have heard your name, but for those who are new, tell them who you are. Who is Dr.
That's always a big question for me, and I have to answer real simply because instead of going down the resume of things, I'm simply a woman of God on a mission, and God has given me the ability to think at a strategic level, and marketing is where He chose to help me do that at. So I'm just on a mission, all about my God's business. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's good. I mean, you have an accent. I mean, I know it's an American accent, but I'm trying to place which state it is. You're Floridonian, right?
I'm from North Carolina originally. Yes.
Oh, right. North
So
Carolina.
that's where that comes from. They won't adopt me here in Florida. They said my accent's still too strong.
Well, your accent is very strong, but I'm sure that we have adopted you already. Which
Yeah.
one would that? Which has you have achieved so much? Why would the state adopt you? What would you say is your biggest success to date, Dr. T?
Ask that one more time.
What would you say today is your biggest success?
Success. And I hate to be cliche, but I think my biggest success is um understanding my purpose. When you go through life and you're unfocused, you don't know where you're supposed to be at, what you're supposed to do, why you have the skills you have. And when you finally know you have purpose and you go after it, the biggest success is doing execution, the process through it. So I think growth would be the word that I would use for that.
That's good. That sounds like you have a book. Literally have a book right there to inspire our viewers.
Yeah.
But what are some of the factors that, as a matter of fact, as we look at success, success is a broad factor. But what are some of the attributes that you have that have made you successful in your career path to date? To date,
Mm.
attributes.
I think I have a very strategic mindset, meaning I see a vision, I can break the vision down. If an artist or a company comes to me and they say, look, this is what we're going to do, this is what we want to achieve, I can literally break that down, tell you exactly what steps is needed, and help you to achieve those steps. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. You market gospel music artists, right? You does
Yes. Gospel hip hop.
and gospel hip hop.
Hip hop.
Um,
Yes.
have you ever done music yourself? What inspired you to go into that era to market gospel hip hop artists?
Yeah. Hip hop saved my life. Um, Again, when you go through that process, you try to figure out what it is that what God wants you to do. And I couldn't figure it out. I got 4 degrees in 4 different areas of study, and I still couldn't figure out what is it, God, that you want me to do with all of this, and how does it all come together. And I've always been a lover of music. Yes, I can do a little something, something, but I've never done anything professionally. But I have an ear for music, which is I tell people all the time it's kind of interesting that God will use me because I am actually deaf in one ear. So I would think, and I'm 70%, I can hear 70% in the other ear. So I'm about 70% hearing on one side, and God has placed me in an industry where I need my ears. And I think the ear that I have is more internal than it is external, so he's just given me an ear for music, and you couple that with understanding how to break down the vision of God, then that's how I got into it, and that's how I'm so confident when I hear from an artist, or when I hear from a company that wants to elevate, so to speak. I've been in this industry a little over 13 years. I started off in management. I saw artists that I was really, really taking a liking to. The music was different. It was more jazzy. And if you like jazz music, you don't hear a lot of that in the gospel music industry. So the more and more that I started to work with her, I started to see that there were so many artists that had a unique sound, a unique way of getting the gospel out there, getting the testimony, and getting the message out. And then I started hearing more hip hop. I still wasn't privy to the fact that we had so many gospel hip hop artists, but I loved hip hop. I grew up on hip hop. I often say I am hip hop, because it's the language that we use. And I wanted to rise to the challenge because for me, and what I had saw was that hip hop was not accepted in the church. It was something that a lot of people didn't take well to because it sounded too much like the world, so to speak. And I wanted to take on that challenge and introduce the world, not just the church, but those outside of the church, to another way of getting the gospel out to the people. And I always say is that one person in the crowd that we're going for, is that one person that's going to save those 10,000, that's going to save another 100,000. So hip hop, I believe, it reaches the streets in a way that it hasn't been accepted in the church yet.
So you yourself, you grew up on hip hop music. Which artist was one of your favorite um,
Woo! Am
secular
I
hip
gonna
hop
be okay
artists?
when I say these?
Oh, yeah,
I, I absolutely love Tupac. I think Tupac is probably like my number one for the simple fact that he was a lyricist. I understood what he was saying. I understood his pain, and I understood what he was trying to teach. And as I said earlier, hip hop has a language that not a lot of people can understand unless you're from hip hop, unless you can get that language. So Tupac was definitely a lyricist, somebody that I listened closely to. I mean, I'm not talking about everything, but what he had in him was a heart for the people, and he did his best to encourage them and empower them through his music.
So you believe that you got some inspiration from this artist because today you have a heart for the people. You have the heart for
Oh, definitely.
artists, upcoming gospel art, hip hop artists, and you have stepped out as an agent to market them, to inspire them to the next level. That's how you see yourself today,
Yeah.
Dr. T.
I want to say I see my heart is for the one. A lot of people, if you see a lot of my slogans and a lot of my logos, it has a big one over 99. It's because I focus on that one over the 99. It's not about popularity. It's not about, how many people are accepting of this, but it's about that one person that needs this, that will tremendously change their life. It's about that one person. So we can have a lot of different interests and a lot of different ways of going out about doing things. But God said, if you want to please me, feed my sheep, and so my mission is to go after the one. And when God told me, he gave me that mission, and he said, put a face to it. I saw me. I saw me sitting, in the corner in the dark. I saw me going through depression. I saw me wanting to commit suicide and almost succeeding. I saw me being broken. I saw me, the rejection and all of that stuff. And God still wanted me. God still wanted me. He said, that's the one. That's the one. You find that person, and that's who you minister to. And so God has given me the ability to connect and communicate through hip hop, with these artists, and helping these artists kind of zone in on the vision that God has given them, because it's all about kingdom. So my mission is not necessarily the artist. It's about conditioning them, getting them ready for the one that we're supposed to serve.
What else? Any name of some of the artists, hip hop, gospel artists that you manage that is now doing very well?
I work with quite a few artists. Largely Kjo Records. I am the GM of Kjo Records, so I work very heavily with Kenton Jones. I work with a lot of Atlanta artists doing like more of the marketing work behind the scenes. I've been behind the scenes for this long. God is just telling me come out beyond that. Now we want to see your face a little bit. So 1K Fuse, 1K P Sons, 1K Fam. I'm just doing stuff on the back end for them. A lot of independent artists might not be well known right now, but definitely have been instrumental in the success of gospel hip hop market for sure.
Okay. Oh my God, that's very interesting. Um, um, we're going to take a short break on Pathway to Success. Then we'll be right back.
Okay.
Are you looking to advertise your business? Look no further. Pathways to Success is offering 3 30-second slots each Sunday of the month for $100. Please contact 561-331-1524 for all inquiries. The Wealthy Seasons Prayer Book by Dr. Stacey Ann Schooler is packed with prayers that bind the works of the enemy and loose the prosperity of God in your life. Are you ready for a paradigm shift in your prayer life? The Wealthy Seasons Prayer Book by Dr. Stacey Ann Schooler is available for purchase on Amazon.com. Get your copy of The Wealthy Seasons Prayer Book by Dr. Stacey Ann Schooler today on Amazon.com. Or call 312-659-9916.
Yes. Welcome back to Pathway to Success. I'm here with Dr. Tranell Jones, multi-talented, and she is a great inspiration. She's a marketer of hip hop artists in the gospel era of hip hop. And oh my God, she's so inspirational. But Dr. T, tell me something.
What's that?
What are the qualities that you're looking for in a gospel? Say, for instance, if I reached out to you and say to you, well, I'm an artist.
Mhm.
Uh, in what are you looking for? Because you are someone that market artists, and you a person who market them is the one that's going to bring them into a higher level. What are some of the qualities that you're looking for in musical artists?
Well, first off, I'll say this: majority of my artists approach me. I never go scout an artist. There are some that I like, but I want the artist to want to work with us. One of the main things that I ask the artist before they come on board, or just when we're having our initial conversation, is what is PR and what is publicity? Because for one thing, you can see me working with a lot of artists and you want that, but you don't really understand what it is that I do. So first I would define, hey, the difference between PR, publicity from management is that we PR is the strategic portion of how we're going to get an artist music out, or how we're going to get their business out, their brand out, how we're going to do that. But as a publicist, what we do is I strategically disseminate that information. So I pick and choose which media platforms are good for this artist. How can we get their message out where it can be understood and not confused? I also do the crisis management part of it. If there's some news that comes out that doesn't make my client look good, I go in and I make sure that that doesn't kill the reputation. So a lot of times the initial contact means, or the conversation is, hey, what's the vision that God is giving you? Why do you want to do this? Because if you don't know what your brand stands for, if your brand can't answer the question who you are, what you're doing this for, the why, then you're not clear on the direction that the vision is going. So in order to work with anybody, they got to be clear on those things. um, you can be a great artist, you can have great music, you can work with the best people, but ultimately if that relationship with God isn't uh, there, if we can't hear that through the music, if the message isn't there, then I really don't want any parts of that. So it really depends on that personal relationship and the vision, and how connected you are to the vision that God is giving you. Is that strategic for me? I know a lot of artists, they're used to people just bringing them on and taking the money, but I always say I'm not that one. I'm very strategic in that area.
Um, I know that you work with gospel artists, but do you see yourself in the future working with non-gospel artists?
Um, Possibly. I'm never married to one thing. I think that in this season, this is where God has me at. But I went through a lot of growth spurts, and sometimes that growth spurts mean that you extend in different areas, and I'm definitely open to that. I fired myself a long time ago, and God is now the CEO. So it's whatever direction He wants to take me. I am opening now to businesses that work directly with gospel hip hop artists. So we are working with those brands and with those labels to help really help these professionals that are going out and saying, hey, I want to support these gospel artists, and help them to really see the best ways to help them is to understand the vision that God has given them. So we're working on a couple of different levels with artists and industry professionals.
That's great. You're also an artist. What are some of the titles of the books that you have written? You're an
The first
author. You're an
the
author.
Yes,
What
I
are the,
am. I've written a
how many
couple.
books have you written so far?
I've written a personal one. I've written was my first one. Beautiful Chaos is really about a personal journey of getting to that self awareness, who I am, and now asking the question what I am, and living in that. And kind of taking people on the journey of that healing and into where I am now. Um, I've written in two anthologies, 31 Ways to Influence, which I spoken with groups of entrepreneurs in Africa, the UK, some of my strongest supporters. And, we've done a lot of training, leadership training and stuff in those areas. Also, I have a new release that just was released on June 8th. That's called Never Forget Why. That's a book that God laid on my heart. Like one day, just driving, and I was upset about, a situation that happened, and it made me think about, the lack of understanding when it comes to God directing us in our career paths and what it is that He called us to do. It's not just about being great at the craft or the skill, but how to really excel or have exponential success based on your relationship with God. So that book is Never Forget Why. It's taking people back to the foundation. Why are you doing this? What purpose are you serving? And how can we get you to the next level based on those answers to those questions? I also wrote another book, another anthology with 9 other co-authors, and that is the Cream Colored Sisters, where we break down depression in women that are in business, the influence, the empowerment, and all of those things. We come together as a band of African American women that have went through these experiences, and we encourage other women to not only talk about it, but come out with us. You get what I'm saying? Like, start talking about it, because there's women that are in the church that don't want to have these conversations or are afraid to have these conversations, but to know that there are other women and that are operating in high positions or operating in their everyday life with high functioning depression. So we're exposing those things, and we're coming together as women to encourage each other.
Tell me something. If an artist is watching right now, viewing you this interview, and they would love to get in contact with you, how can they get in contact with you?
Everything Dr. Tranell Jones, you can Google it. It's gonna pull up everything. But on Facebook, all the social medias, LinkedIn is right now serving as my personal connect page, and that's under Dr. Tranell Jones. And there you can get in touch with me for booking or just a consultation. I do offer that initially if the artist just wants to talk about where they're at and see what they need going forward. We offer those things. The new website will be posted next month, and that is on the 1st. That's next Friday, I believe. So that will be the number one stmedia.com. That's youfirstmedia.com.
Okay. What's next for Dr. T. Jones? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
The next 5 years, I would have successfully taken my hands from being in the business to working on the business, and have trained leadership to effectively run the largest PR agency for gospel hip hop artists to date.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Dr. Tranell Jones, for joining
Yeah.
us on Pathway to Success. We tremendously enjoyed this interview with you, and what an inspiration you are. Keep up the good work that you're doing.
Thank
I want
you.
to thank you all for joining us on Pathway to Success, and join us next week at 6:30 for Pathway to Success. Have a great week.